touch it, it will spring up. Okay. I just wanted you to see it. Yeah.
Is your microphone on? Medium. Thank you so much. Someone has just. It's the projector. So reduce the volume. Yeah, that's Wi-Fi. Good. I can see it's exactly 10 minutes to 1. So you've muted it totally. Okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. Habari zenu. Yes, that goes with the blended mode of delivery. It always has challenges. And yes, so I would like to welcome you all to this session. But before we proceed, I would like to have one of our freshmen or ladies to pray for us before we proceed. So, one of the ladies, please, come and pray for us. Come. Thank you so much.
Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this day to say thank you. And as we continue with this meeting that you are having, Lord, may you guide us, may you protect us, and may you bless the people who are going to take over this meeting and also protect our online. Yeah, and in Jesus' name I pray and believe.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Your name is? Abigail. Thank you so much. And Abigail is a fresh lady, now 1 week old on campus. Asante sana. She's pursuing law, and I hope the journey will be great. Cynthia, thank you so much. Before we proceed, I would like to recognize those who are in with us. Yes, Abigail, just say hi. The next person, just say your name and which course you're doing. Peace and conflict. Thank you. Ambassador Wendy, friend of the environment. Next year, Fred. Okay, thank you so much, Fred. Tadia, next. Okay, thank you so much. That's our current Mr. Environment. So before we proceed, I want to let us know why we are here. So the reason why we are here is that we are here to listen to one of us who's come to do a presentation to us, and will be sharing out on what he's doing outside there, so that you guys are able to see what is happening. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen to the online guys, and the physical guys were not able to see. So we are here because of a webinar, but this is a pre-event to an event that we are soon to have, possibly I think next month, for research conference. We are running monthly webinars as a Department of Environment and Natural Resource Management, and we would like you to also come and present during this specific research project or research conference that will be happening very soon. And our chief guest will be Professor Atemo, who is a former, someone who leads, who has been a leader within the university setups. And now to our specific activity of the day. We are here to listen to Mr. Zakayo. He just informed me this morning that he may be changing that name because it comes with some connotation. Don't change it so fast, sir. We are here to make sure that we gain from your knowledge. This specific teaching department, that is the Department of Environment and Natural Resource Management, falls under the DVC Academic Affairs. So anything that touches on academic matters falls under the DVC Academic Affairs Office. And I will wish or request to welcome Professor Rodney Reed to say something. I know he's running late for another meet. Before we welcome our visitor for the day. But before he gets in, I want to recognize the presence of our alumni manager. She'll be having a session immediately after this. So, Professor Rodney Reed, I'm not sure whether this is your third last or second last webinar with us, but I hope that you will be joining from where you will be. And Rodney comes from the United States of America. He's an alumni of Olivet Nazarene University, and these webinars are supposed or are geared towards making sure that the alumni come back and give back to the society. So, Prof, please come.
Thank you, John Henry, for that introduction, and welcome here to this webinar. It is a great thing that we have the ability, the technology, to be able to bring students from a distance and students who are currently with us and experts and professionals from all walks of life and in all places for an occasion to have a good discussion about important topics like this one, about the threats to our wetlands and our arid and semi-arid lands. And thank you, Mr. Zakayo, for coming and being a part of this. Class of 2000 graduate from African Nazarene University, coming back to build into the current generation of students here at ANU. And I just want to applaud that and put a real plug in for that. I don't know who all we have joining us from wherever they are, but wherever you are at, and whatever station you are at in life, whether you're still a current student or you're an alumnus right now, or you're just a professional in this area and you're interested in this topic and you got wind of it and you've joined us here today, Thank you for being here. But I want to encourage all of us to think about these kind of ways that we can continue to bless one another. To participate in a webinar, to offer to do a webinar like this is a great thing. And it can add value to the education of our students. We have an initiative that we started 3 or 4 years ago here at the university, probably about the time Mr. Zakayo was leaving us, called experiential learning. We want our students to be connected to the industry before they even get there. As a student, experiential learning was this initiative to help us ensure that we could provide that. And so taking the students to the industry. Our procurement students just went to Mombasa, to the port, to see how procurement is done in that context, in that busy port environment, and the supply chain management issue. And so taking our students to the industry, bringing the industry to the students is very important as well. And so that's kind of what's happening here today. An alumnus of ANU coming back to do that, to bring their industry experience. Thank you. That is really to be applauded. We know that many of our alumni are out there doing things in the society. And they're fulfilling the motto of the university, which is, what begins here? Good, you guys passed the quiz. Right? And so we believe that that's what's happening with many of our alumni, and we're so glad that one of them is here to demonstrate how he is contributing in some way to that whole process, protecting our wetlands, protecting our arid and semi-arid lands. And so to our students here in the room, as well as those joining online, remember this. Remember what you're seeing here from somebody who has come before, because there may come a time when we dial your number and say, hey, would you come and talk to the students of ANU, the current group of students? And so I think there's some little bit of technology here we want to correct. Okay. And for all of us here, to the students who are here, I want to thank you, not just here physically, but here virtually. Thank you for having an interest in this webinar. Even who are law or peace and studies. There's, from my work in supervising theses of the university, even in the School of Religion, that there's a lot of conflict in the nation of Kenya over resources like wetlands and minerals and such are even pastoralists moving around in conflict with one another. So people should be interested in a topic like this, So thank you for coming and having an interest in this webinar, whether you're physically here or virtually joining us as well. And so let's give ourselves to this topic. Again, as Henry mentioned, I have to slip at some point to get to my next appointment, but this is a great opportunity for us to engage, learn, and grow in whatever area of study we're doing here on campus or joining the university virtually. And if you're joining us professionally through online link here, thank you for being a part of the conversation. So God bless this time. We will be effective and that we'll learn something and become better stewards of the creation that God has given us. Amen.
Wow, thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof, for that. This guy has been here and has quite a good memory, and you might think that he doesn't know you, but make sure that he doesn't know you on the other side. That is that other side that we should not be knowing our students with. Sindio? Yeah, so thank you so much, Prof. We are privileged that we have you here to open this specific activity. This is our third webinar. The first one was dealing on The first one we did during Green Week. That was the link between human interference in the environment and creation care. Then the last one we did was last month. That was done by one of the individuals. Actually, I'm seeing her in the meet, Madam Moyo. Moyo, would you please say hi and maybe you tell us what you did with us last month before I welcome the speaker. Moyo, are you there? Penelope? Oh, am I being heard really? Okay. Just a reminder, we are streaming on our Facebook page. And we are glad. Yeah, something just happened here. Let me just switch accounts. Yeah, technology. Yeah, the moment I logged in somewhere, it switched the account and logged out this. So yeah, technology. Yes? Yeah. Yes, I think I'll be somewhere logged in different accounts. So just informing us that we have been, yeah. Oh, Mike again. We have been doing such activities and we want to engage more, take the industries, bring the industry to the student, but also have the students being exposed to the very industries outside there. And these monthly webinars are meant to ignite and update us on what is happening in the field out there. So last month we did something on marine ecology, opportunities that exist in blue economy. And I would like the presenter of that day just to say hi. And she also happens to be currently one of our volunteer faculty within the department. Madam Penelope, if you could say hi to the people.
Thank you, John Henry. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. It's very nice to see the number of people who attended online and who.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to sort myself with that computer. Thank you for what you gave the students last month. And Mr. Zakayo comes from quite a wealthy background of environment, mostly from the water sector. strategic environmental assessment. He has worked within several sectors, that is within the NGO world. He also happens to be currently serving as a board member of the Environment and Natural Resource Management Department Industrial Board. These are boards that are made to put to par the content we teach in class. So they bring in they update us on what is happening outside there so that we can make sure that we are teaching students the current things, but also help us improve our programs. Yes, so thank you so much for coming in to serve as a board member in that specific, yes. So he will tell us where he's working today. And can we have a water clap to have Mr. Zakayo with us here? You can proceed.
Thank you, John Henry. Thank you, Professor Reed, and the students and the other participants for joining this webinar today. I think John Henry has done much of the introduction, and I need not go back. What I may add is that in addition to what he has stated and the bachelor's degree here, prior to joining this university, I also had attained other training in engineering and technology. And I also always say that knowledge is never enough. We don't tire in learning. Over the years, I've accumulated several certificates in the range of about short courses and not really in engineering and environment, even emotional intelligence and other kind of personal development courses, which I would encourage every other time when we have an opportunity of getting additional knowledge or sharing the knowledge that we have, we don't hesitate to do that. In fact, I also appreciate African Nazarene University because of the kind of training that I got from this university. When I joined at first year, there were some units I was asking myself, now why study English 1, English 2? Little did I know, and I had passed very well at my O-level in English. Little did I know that the kind of English that I'm learning here will make me better in what I do. Because I'm in engineering field, I'm able to interact, to present, to make reports, and also able to understand any form of training or knowledge better. So, and also project management was very in handy. And thank you for the short courses that you are running here. I think they are the best ever short courses in EAIA and SEA. Where I work in construction sites, supervising construction projects. The requirement that we have to adhere to environmental standards, protect the environment. There are environmental impact reports that have been prepared. But since the inception of a project, I rarely see even enforcers and inspectors coming to check whether there is any compliance. So this has made me a very important asset to the project I supervise. Because all in all, I understand that as an engineering technologist, it is important to also ensure that the development we undertake are compliant with and sustainable, because we also derive our work from resources. And talk of a resource like water, earth, soil, building materials, wood, forests. We rely heavily on natural resources. And this webinar is intended to achieve two purposes. One is to achieve an environmental goal and also ethical goals. And PDF.
Oh, you want PowerPoint, whichever. Yeah, PowerPoint would be better. So you can project from this. No.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you for assisting me. So, in this webinar, we'll look at the significance of ecosystem. And maybe before we proceed,
The online guys are not seeing. Just a minute. Sorry for that. Okay.
Trying to share screen?
Yes, to the online audience, yes. It is.
Yeah.
With this. Is it being seen? Are the online guys seeing? Okay, so someone says that's okay.
okay. Maybe, before we proceed, can one or two persons tell us the distinction between, or what we understand by the term a resource, development, and an ecosystem? Anyone? Yeah.
I'll start with the resource. I don't know if they can hear me.
Can you hear? Maybe you can come nearer. Oh, yeah, in mic. Yes, thank you.
I think a resource is something at our disposal to use, something at our disposal to use for a certain activity or event.
Exactly.
And development is a state of improving something to be in a better situation. And ecosystem of relying on the same.
Ecosystem. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You are correct. A resource is anything that we utilize to create wealth for our livelihoods and well-being. And development sometimes is construed to mean infrastructural development. But when in our context, we should look at development as anything that we do to create wealth for our well-being. Even if it's farming, even if it's livestock, we rear livestock to get as a resource, and then use the natural resources, the grass, the water, to create another resource for wealth creation and for well-being. But what happens is that if these resources are utilized or extracted rapidly, even if we say the water, forest, and the rest are renewable, you'll find that at a point is reached that a disequilibrium occurs, whereby you can have irreversible damage to the resources. That's why it is important for us to understand the threats that are posed to some of our resources, so that we are able to preserve them and ensure that there is sustainability and there is continued benefit from the same resources. Today we are going to explore threats to Kenyan wetlands and aquatic and ASAL ecosystems. Wetland and ASAL ecosystems are very important resources because we derive economic benefits and also development benefit from them. The objective, as I stated earlier, one is an ethical goal that we need to achieve with this webinar. To make an inquiry and investigate constantly, educate general public and professionals about the importance of making ethical choices when interacting with the natural environment. A second goal is the environmental goal. Inculcate conservation culture within the general and various stakeholders and inform policy formulation and decision-making process regarding managing the ecosystem and design and implementation of sustainable development projects. And I stated earlier, we don't constrain ourselves in thinking that development project implies infrastructure project, waterworks and roads and the rest. In our context, we see it broadly as anything that is creating wealth, and from wealth we derive services, we derive livelihoods. Then, ecosystem now, you are not sure about what an ecosystem is. And maybe, can somebody else
I can try and help him.
Yeah.
So how I can define an ecosystem? It's a biological community of interacting organisms between them and their environment.
Good. You got it right. Exactly. So, we see exactly what you have said. Is a sum of interaction between plants, animals, microbes, between them, non-living and the living. Or else we can say it's a community or geographical area where a living and non-living organism interact or work together to form a life. Another definition would be a physically defined environment made of two components, abiotic and biotic. Abiotic is non-living, biotic is the living component. So, examples of ecosystem. Could we also get an input? Examples of ecosystem, one or two. From, yes, marine ecosystem, good. Yes, another one. Our online participant, are you hearing? Are you with us? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have marine, another one. An example of an ecosystem.
Forest ecosystem.
Thank you. Okay, forest, wetlands, aquatic, arid, semi-arid, desert, leafer, grassland. And also we have man-made ecosystem. Man-made ecosystem, an example is maybe think of a town or a city or an estate or a reservoir. That is an example of a man-made system. And from the division is where by various components interact to form a life. For this webinar, we are going to explore the highlighted three ecosystems: wetland, aquatic, arid, and semi-arid. Now, significance of ecosystem. We can see why ecosystems are important. We derive ecosystem services from them as mankind. Provision of clean water, transportation, agriculture, maintenance of soil fertility, economic benefits like tourism, natural resources, food security, and preservation of water resources. So you can see the importance of ecosystems and the ecosystem services we derive from them. In addition, we also have other services. Protection to downstream settlements, cities, farmland, coastal beaches and cities.
Excuse me?
From, yes, please?
The slides are not moving, kindly.
They're not?
The slides are not moving. Thank you.
Are they not moving? What are you able to see? Which slide are you seeing?
The first one.
Which one? Tell me the heading.
That one.
Oh, the first one in the. Oh, I know what they're seeing. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what you're seeing. Okay. So this is what they're seeing. So this should be presentation mode. What are you seeing on your side?
Ecological services continuation.
Ecological services. Okay, yeah, now I see what is it now down? Yeah, think this is going to be, I think, oh, screen 2. Now, what are you seeing? Is your screen full?
Yes, there's a full presentation.
It's a full presentation now. Good. Is it moving now? Go to the next.
No, it's constant.
Still constant?
Yes, it's moving.
Ah, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John Henry, for sorting that one out. We can see ecological services we also derive in addition to what we had stated earlier. Manufacturing and construction heavily are dependent on water resources, agriculture and recreation. Now, sorry, I forgot to say we will have, first of all, we will have one part of wetland and also aquatic ecosystem. Then part 2, we also have look at, then after that we have a question and answer and reaction. Then we go to the other part of ASAL, ecosystem. So, we are now at wetland ecosystem characteristics. Wetlands are bodies of land where bodies of land and water meet. We have a wetland. And they are almost flat, comprised of different shapes. It can be marshes, riparian, swamps, even rivers, estuaries. Another of the characteristics of the wetland is that they obtain their water from precipitation and groundwater recharge. The water table is near or almost at the surface and is covered frequently by shallow waters. They are rich in wildlife and have plenty of aquatic vegetation. Evaporation is dominant. Infiltration is minimal because more than the north, the rainfall that falls within this wetland is discharged through runoff, but are built slowly due to the littoral inclines or slopes. Another characteristic is that the erosion is minimal. Because of the minimal inclines and slope, we don't experience much of erosion within these wetlands. They also exhibit another characteristic called gradual hydrograph. A hydrograph, maybe for those who may not, in engineering we also use this term hydrograph. I don't know whether there are any of my colleagues who has joined. They can attest that the hydrograph is a graphical representation of the flow of water through a point within a given time. So for wetlands, we basically have rapid, the peaks, they peak gradually, but last for a long time. And they are very delicate and susceptible to climate change. That's why we have to be very, very careful with wetlands in terms of how we use them and how we delineate them for protection. They also have traits that integrate both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, but still they still are distinct. Sorry. Examples of wetlands in Kenya. Yara Swamp, found in northwest of Lake Victoria. We have Nyando, we have Bunyara. We have an Odiri swamp in Kikuyu. As you go towards Nakuru from Rimuru, there is a swamp place there called Mangu. That is an example of a wetland. Chemi Chemi in Laikipia. Suguta, Marmar. Suguta Marmar. This is in Samburu at the border of Laikipia and Samburu County. For the two highlighted ones, we are going to explore the threats that they are facing currently and maybe look at the mitigation measures that can be adopted to protect them. In contrast, we can have examples of aquatic ecosystems. One is the Indian Ocean, Lake Nakuru, Lake Baringo, Lake Victoria, Turkana, Lake Borsat. This is in Nyandarua County, and also Lake Naivasha. These I sampled these. We will have a look in detail at the effects and the threats that country faced at Nakuru, Baringo, or Borosat. I had visited there sometimes, but the data I had corrected furnished somehow. So we'll look at those examples of the ecosystems and see how the threats they are facing. Now, that said, we look at the threats to our wetlands. One of the main threats currently facing our wetland is agricultural expansion, which is actually not a sustainable agricultural method or radius. This is the one I was telling you is in Chemchemi. In fact, in our late 80s and 90s, these, in the middle here, all of these used to be a wetland. Here. You can see here. Now, this is a farmland that has encroached into that wetland, and you can see already there is somebody who has built at the middle of the previously wet area. And at the background, that also used to be a forest sometimes back in the 80s, up here. Now it's also farmland and it's sloping. And beyond that, we have river Narok that is drains from Borosat, and also the escarpment of Abadeas. And that river, you see, from this, on my left there, here, you can see there's a trench that has been cut to lower the water table so that the wetland can become habitable. Here you can see there's somebody already who has built a house there. This is the outfall of that wetland. Actually, it used to have larger flow volumes. You can see here the agricultural expansion where they have extended it to. This is the outflow actually. And it used to have very clean water. It is near Nyahuru town, about 3 kilometers from Nyahuru town in Laikipia. Okay, another threat is unsustainable radius practices. This is a wetland in Dondori Forest, Nakuru County, near the border with the Nyandarua County. The worrying thing is that this one is in a forested area, whereby we would expect that we have a conservation culture, we have staff and forest services who are able to identify the importance of. In fact, this can provide, if it is rehabilitated, it can provide stream development can be possible, and it can provide water sources for a village in Nakuru, Upper Ranet area, which is actually they used to. Unfortunately, it is drying up. These are eucalyptus trees. Those are pines and also cypress. The problem emanating and the danger and the threat mostly is from these eucalyptus trees, which has really affected the sustainability of what is remaining the small portion of water. And sustainable radius can also be seen in the Mau escarpment. This photo, sorry, I didn't acknowledge. This photo to the left there with the people tilling, this one is a borrowed photo. I borrowed it, but the owner was very clear. I borrowed this one from the internet. If I would have known, the owner would have acknowledged, but it was a free online one, although it's not original photo. This is at the Mau escarpment. Of the common cultivation of hilly terrains, erosion into there is a river Njoro passing down where below that farmland. and the other side is a forested area. To the right here, this is the Suguta Marmar wetland in Samburu. You can see the wetland vegetation has dried completely because of unsustainable use. And in fact, when I say tragedy of the commons is a classic example. We look at it in another slide. Because all the herders water the animals here. And in fact, it's a very productive wetland because there's a road that was built from Lumruti to Nyahururu to Marar. And the Chinese contractors had sunk a small machine dug well here. And all the water from the construction came from this wetland. So you can see this is a wetland, and Samburu is a water scarce county, especially also within this a small town of Suguta Marmar. People also wash their clothes there. It is unprotected actually. Unsustainable resource use, deforestation. What effects does it pose? There's a river down. Okay, let's have an input. What kind of impact do you think this kind of radius pose to a river ecosystem? The forest is on the other side. This also used to be a forested area also. It's a sloping. River Njoro runs from here. There's another river called Makali also that lands in another direction. This is Mau escarpment actually. A very important, and it is a catchment for Lake Nakuru. What kind of effects do you think this kind of land use supposed to river and also the lake downstream, the Lake Nakuru downstream? Anyone? One or two people. You can have an input also. This is an interactive session. It's not really a teaching session. Huh? Now, these farmlands, one of the threats to the wetland, riparian ecosystem is agricultural chemicals. These farmers use agricultural chemicals. The ground is sloping, very steep. So you can imagine what happens when it rains. Down to the river, chemicals. Erosion, siltation. There are no erosion protection measures. Cutting down of trees. Climate change. The river will dry up in years to come. So you can see the importance of exploring and understanding the threats that our ecosystems are facing. You see, now these are the effects. This is Lake Nakuru. Now you can see what is happening within the catchment, Mau catchment, is having very severe impact downstream within the lake. This is the Wonder, this is the gate entrance for the Wonders office, although they have shifted it now. To the left there, you can see a road. That is the road that used to, by tourists and people visiting the park. It's almost being submerged. The flamingos, in fact, they have been displaced by this water, because they cannot get any more algae to feed on. And you can see what we talked about, the economic services. We are going to lose them. Tourism, revenue. If we are not careful, these are the kind of things that we are going to experience. And now, I mentioned the tragedy of the commons with the Suguta Marmar wetland. Tragedy of the common is a socioeconomic problem whereby an individual's interest overrides the interest or the benefit of all. Somebody will say, these are aware. Somebody would say, now, water is for everyone. So me as Zakayo, I can draw as much as I want. So rapid and uncontrolled extraction of the water will lead to a situation whereby then later on I will realize and start saying, oh, seems there's less and less of water these days. And this is more a very common occurrence with common resources, and more so within the ASAL and pastoralist area, because you can see now everybody comes to water, they are almost here, they also graze. So essentially the vegetation has dried, the wetland vegetation, overuse, the water is disappearing. So essentially in the long run, there will be little and finally nothing for anybody. So the definition of the tragedy of the commons, we can see it here. A sociopolitical problem, in which an individual is incentivized to act in a way that will ultimately be harmful to all individuals, as I had explained. Conflict of resources between individual interests and the interests of others, over exploitation from each person, taking too much until there's nothing left for anyone. Okay, traffic congestion can also be another example of the tragedy of the commons. So, think of a traffic jam. I use my car, you use your individual car, we meet in town, the capacity of our highways is not accommodating, there's traffic jam, loss of fuel burned within the traffic jam, air pollution, climate change. So, me using my own car, individual car, you using yours, everybody using, that is a classic example of the tragedy of the commons. Because we'll end up not enjoying the free flow of traffic because of our individual needs and interests. Livestock, we can see from the Sukuta Marmar we have seen how overexploitation by every individual leads to overexploitation. The fourth threat is urbanization. This is where we were before. In fact, Nyahuru town is just next. So this is an expansion now of an informal settlement called Kiamaina village, a kilometer away. Where you saw that outflow of the water is, this other side is where that village is. And also we have also a problem in Nakuru on rapid urban development. There is a hill terrain within the Menengai escarpment, whereby people have been allocated plots in that hill terrain. So what happens is that, in fact, even a week ago, there was a very long traffic jam around Nakuru Road, because there's a lot of siltation along that road when it rains, and it has been raining heavily in Nakuru. So you can see that effect of urban. This is also another example of a threat, encroachment to riparian land, which is actually very critical in maintaining health and functions of wetland ecosystem, like the river ecosystem, and also destruction of habitats like we saw in the Mau. This is also in the Mau, the cutting down of trees for charcoal burning. Pollution is another threat to our wetlands. This image was, I took this image, I was working, just ahead of here, I was working on a bridge construction project around Marigat Roboi Road. We were doing a bridge across one of the seasonal rivers there, just next to Marigat. This waste is from Marigat town in Baringo County. Down there at the background where you see the crown down there, it was not visible because it's a bit, the incline are a bit steep. Baringo, just down that ground. Lake Baringo is there. This is actually better because there are some xerophyte plants around it. It's like a fence or something. But there are other dumps like this one in open grounds where there is no natural fence to hold on to these wastes. So you can imagine when it rains, for once, this is in a semi-arid area. The soil, when the rainfall intensity is high, you find that there is a lot of runoff running from this, the road that we were doing the bridge here, and also the upper sides. So you can imagine all these wastes being driven by water downstream to the Baringo, and the kind of effects that will happen there. And it also includes other form of waste actually. You know, there is no sorting. You can imagine all kind of waste are here, hospital, whatever, and medical waste actually. So you can imagine the kind of danger that this poses to the aquatic ecosystem downstream. So solid waste management has really been a thorn in the flesh, thanks to the ban on waste, plastic wastes. But still there is a challenge. We need to up and formulate policies, as we said in the beginning, on some of these activities, such that we operate in a controlled environment, such that we are able to conserve and protect our environment. See, this is also the same area, the Marigat area. You can see the waste dumped in a controlled manner. Now, let us look at the approaches. Those are some, majorly, this is not limited to the kind of threats. Those are just samples of the kind of threats that are posed within our wetland and aquatic ecosystem. Approaches to mitigate these threats to our wetlands. One is improved waste management. We have seen what kind of threats are posed by waste management. Poor dumping of wastes. So we come up with designated solid waste disposal sites and landfills, fence, compact and sort. We should also think of ways of adopting the 3 R's, recycle, reuse. What is the other? The other R. Recycle, reuse, and reduce. Thank you. Liquid waste collection, treatment and disposal. Control agricultural runoff from agricultural activities on sloping farmlands and also sites. Monitor, control, and enforce discharges. A second approach would be to adopt sustainable resource use. By this, we need to think of controlling deforestation. Third, harvesting practices is also a major threat in our riparian river ecosystem. Limit water abstraction. Sustainable agricultural practices and promotion. That is, we can, for the semi-arid areas, we can think of educating or sensitizing the herders to adopt a maximum number of herds, such that they get value addition, or also not value addition really. the hands can match the available forage and grass, because offer exploitation of the vegetation will lead to extinction, actually. We can also think of value addition to their activities, use of unlimited use of chemical fertilizer. For the pastoralist community, maybe value addition would be milk production other than only goats and cow or meat. Also maybe hides and skin and those kind of and also regeneration of the degraded rangelands within those ecosystems. Another approach is we need to improve land use planning and management. Integrated wetland protection, conservation, we integrate these into land use and planning and management so that we can reduce the impacts or loss due to agriculture, urbanization, and other unsustainable practices. We can also think of creating buffer zones around what we saw in Suguta, Marmar. If that wetland is protected, we could see now it can offer an ecosystem services for a longer duration of time and preserve it for our future generation. Because once it's dry, maybe rehabilitating it may be a tall order. Regulation of land use, ensure controlled development within wetland areas. The fourth approach, introduce support, outreach, and education programs to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands. And also this education and awareness will help us in dealing with the tragedy of the commons, so that every individual will understand that we need to balance and not to rapidly exploit any of our available resources. And also, in addition to that, we also need to identify potential threats so that we can be able to address them in good time and come up with remedial and mitigation measures to preserve our ecosystems. Seek support and work with adjoining communities. Like when you talk of tragedy of the commons, maybe some of these hunters may be not understanding, maybe not aware of what they are doing and the effect it has on the future of the ecosystem that is being degraded by their activities. And if we engage them in any conservation of wetland and other ecosystem for sustainability, it would be very, very important. Another approach is we need to see how we restore or rehabilitate the already degraded wetlands. Like the Nakuru Dodori one, we can advise. But the advice, I tried to talk to the officer, the CZ environment and what, water and something in Nakuru. But most of the time he could not have been available for any discussion on that particular wetland at Dodori. So if those eucalyptus trees are removed and we plant trees that are able to assist us in regenerating the wetlands, it would be very good. We also think of removing invasive species, like the adapters, introduce new and more adaptive species in terms of animals and plants. Now, that marks the end of our first session on wetland and aquatic ecosystem. So we can have any question or addition or a reaction. Then we proceed quickly to the other. The other part is a bit short. We'll be able to handle that within a very short time. Any question, reaction, addition? Online team, anything? Are we together?
Yes, another question.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you. I wanted to ask if this recent, what I had seen about counties trying to do spatial planning, I don't, has it, as far as you've seen, have they tried to capture wetlands as well in terms of now being able to plan land use? Just my question is just on if counties are now becoming better in terms of planning their land use now with as they're trying to make now special plans, county special plans. I don't know if that has been helpful or they have tried to try capture protection of wetlands.
Personally, from what I've seen is not, I may say that there's still a gap in what is being done. You see, like what this has been, the threats that we have seen in Samburu, in Laikipia, in Nakuru, they have been there for some time. And every time, you see, county do prepare their strategic plans. But little do they incorporate what we may call strategic environmental impacts. Because when that is done, you look at the broader and the broader picture of any plan. Any development plan should look into and incorporate environmental protection and management. But you see, maybe they're more geared towards the development. Say here we'll build a market, we'll do some school, we'll do in this ward, we'll construct a hospital, and we'll also construct a stadium. But rarely would you see that there's need for actually much more to be done in terms of addressing these. And again, you see, even when, even at national level, we talk of climate change. Climate change, what we are laying so much emphasis on tree planting, 3,000 trees. But you see, and this may form a point of discussion later on, maybe through our department here, we may come up with discussion topics about this. Because personally, I feel that it should also be an integrated approach, such that what are we doing? If we are planting more trees, and we are also increasing use of fossil fuel. So a round of carbon dioxide annually is the forest and the trees actually, they absorb about a third of the carbon that is generated annually. So you can see if we plant more trees and we are adding more vehicles, like Kenya, we import around 100,000 and 20,000 vehicles per year. So you can see it may be a mismatch, and again maybe also lost if you are not looking at it in an integrated manner. Thank you for that question, actually. So they still need for much to be done in terms of addressing these challenges. Thank you. Any other question? Okay,
I wanted to make a comment.
please do.
Yeah, because of the way we have defined the wetlands, the interface between land and water, maybe the challenge comes in terms of looking after the wetlands, or maybe looking at what may be termed as temporary wetlands. Like when we had these floods, we don't seem to have a way of maybe creating some dams that could hold water and therefore now begin to become a little more permanent wetlands, particularly the river stream. I live on Kangundo Road, so I know the effect of at river, and it was all of a sudden it was very high. It was spread all over the place. Some places have some water that has been left for some time, but in the meantime, we were completely helpless in terms of holding and controlling the way the water goes, and which would then contribute to the issue of water harvesting. So besides buying our plastic tanks and building our underground tanks, there should be also be the effort of now uh, holding water, harvesting water using those temporary ponds, but then we would be creating the wetlands, and I think it is desirable. The question is, how exactly do we get communities to get involved directly? Because if it doesn't translate to what I need to do as an individual, then it still just remains at the debate level. We will not be able to get ourselves to work so that we can safeguard the existing permanent wetlands in whatever form, but then also be aware and alive to these temporary wetlands that come because of the floods. Thank you very much.
And you see, the other participant also talked about what the counties, what they are doing about their plans is important. You know, these are some of the policy formulation that we need to come up with within our counties, so that we are able to look wholesomely and see if there's excessive flows in our rivers and from our catchment areas. How do we prevent it from flowing down to the Indian Ocean and harness it for prolonged use, a duration of time? So I agree with you. There's need for looking to that, and maybe also, that will form a form of protection. You know, we talked about the importance of preserving the ecosystems. This ecosystem is that one of them is to prevent coastal areas and downstream cities like Mombasa. If a lot of water goes there, then the sea levels are rising. And also due to climate change, our Arctic countries are also experiencing increased flow from the ice caps and the ice mountains. So you have a devastating effect on generally on our cities and coastal cities, and that might really affect the well-being of mankind. Thank you. I think we can now proceed to the other part. Before we move to part 2 on ASAL ecosystems, this image, this is also a wetland. This is called Kisima. It's somewhere in Samburu. There's also a small town called Kisima next to this one. You can see now, this one is drying because of lack of protection and a sustainable radius around it. There's a minimal ground cover within some catchment areas upstream. Now, part 2, ASAL ecosystem. Now, I know it's good to understand that this ecosystem, actually Kenya forms, they form about 80, not more than 80 now, it's almost 90%. 90% of our country, Kenya, is ASAL ecosystem. ASAL means arid, semi-arid, RAD ecosystem. in the majority of our counties. You see, is this yellow? What do we call this color? Is it yellow? The yellow in this map indicates the extent of the ASAL ecosystem. And this ecosystem actually form a very important part of our country. They support 90% of the wildlife. And this wildlife also support our tourism industry. And the tourism industry contributes to 12% of our GDP in some years back. I don't know currently what is the rating. And they also support other sectors. General characteristic of ASAL ecosystem. One is high temperatures, low rainfall, and they have a very high propensity for drought. Vulnerable to climate shocks and impact. Any slight changes in climatic condition will adversely affect these ecosystems. When it rains, there are floods, there are flash floods, there are erosions. So they are very prone to those kind of shocks. Characteristic continued, they provide wildlife habitat. They are also characterized by shrubs, raw shrubs and bushes. And most predominantly acacia is another xerophyte plants like cactus and aloe. But by xerophyte, I mean plants that have low water demand. You see, these acacia and cactus, aloe, all these another type of plants, they survive in this ecosystem because their water demand is actually lower than the other kind of trees that we have. They are also characterized by grassland within the rangelands. They exhibit minimal river ecosystems, and there are few ponds and marshes. See, little or no vegetation. This is acacia and some other dryland area and aloes, a few of them. This is a characteristic of ASAL ecosystem. They also predominantly sandy. They also have predominantly sandy soils, and they receive minimal annual rainfalls. Stream development is also minimal. But in most of the cases, you'll find that we have seasonal streams. Like this one sometimes is, when you pass here, when it's raining, it's normally overflown. The banks of these seasonal streams are normally breached by water. But now, this photo I took in a dry season, you can see how it is, and the acacias there. Another characteristic is that any rain falling within this ASAL ecosystem is either absorbed by the porous soil, and any higher intensity rainfall will be lost as runoff. See, this one, particular one, I took this photo on a very rainy day. And you can see lots of it, the ground doesn't have any infiltration capacity. Actually, the ASAL ecosystem have very minimal, the soils there have very minimal infiltration capacity because there's minimal vegetation cover, as you can see, and also there's a tendency of the soil to form crusts. So this crust, when the rainfall is of high intensity, they will not allow water to percolate through the interpores. So it runs off. And see, this one of the participants have asked about why we don't harness this water. This is one of the basic characteristics of ASAL ecosystem, because this water actually get drained and runs away. And also the other disadvantage is that once this water runs away, runoff, there's very limited opportunity for groundwater recharge in this ecosystem. So you see these kind of things exacerbate this already dire situation, no? Raw water, poor vegetation cover, and this is mainly due to absence of ground cover and erratic limited rainfall. Importance of soils in this ecosystem. Soils maintain ecosystem health. They also provide nutrient cycling, creation of goods and services central to human well-being. When they support the regeneration of plants and fodder for our sheep, then we derive that kind of ecosystem service from the soil. Even if they're in the dry land ecosystem, they're important. Maintenance of global soil resources is essential for food, water, and energy security, and also support primary production, livestock, and also there's not really only livestock. In this ecosystem, you also have a very, although it's endangered, the sandalwood trees, like Saburu, although they're becoming almost extinct because of unsustainable extraction and use. Overall of soil is that they act as key reservoir of global biodiversity, ranging from microorganisms to flora and fauna. They provide ecosystem services relevant to global climate regulation, water, food production, and ecosystem sustainability. To understand the nature of the soil and what we have seen about runoff and raw absorption capacity, higher porosity, soil structure actually means the arrangement of primary and secondary particles in a soil. We can talk, if you find ones like granular, prismatic, and also fine-grained soil in environmental and agriculture may not be important, but in engineering it forms a very important part of what we do in terms of soil stability and use as an engineering material. The soil structure, you saw granular and also prismatic. This importance, it is important because it controls the amount of water and air present in a soil. It influences water movement, heat transfer, aeration, and porosity. Porosity, in fact, I hope there's a slide talking about porosity. Okay, yeah, we will get it. They also write warm to hot, they are also dry and often acidic. This is an important term, acidic. Acidic may be important. Somebody can tell us why would we, as an environmental managers or agricultural officers or whatever, be interested in acidity of a soil? Anybody? Yes. Let's use this so that our online team can also hear what you are saying.
Okay. I hopefully camera concentrate.
Okay. in line of what you are saying, in line with what you are saying. Because acidity, if for an environmental manager, you think of a degraded ecosystem, and you want to regenerate or rehabilitate the ecosystem. So, if you understand the acidity of the soil, you are able to know what kind of plant are you going to plant there. Because if you don't, you make a mistake of planting plants that are not acidic tolerant, they will not survive. And the rate of survival of those plants will be minimal. So you end up spending a lot of resources and without any gain, essentially. So acidity is important. In other things like engineering, we're also interested because it also corrodes enforcement and also causes other problems in concrete. But when in our context today, we deal with that. Thank you. That is, you are right. But now within the environment field, a sector, we need to know, and is the soil acidic? If it's acidic, what kind of plants are we going to plant there? Are they acidic tolerant? Will they survive within this kind of soil? Water demand? What kind of plants are we going to use to rehabilitate this kind of ecosystem? So that is important. Low in nutrients, have quick water, drainage. You have seen what is happening because they are granular and they are very porous. They allow water to drain fast. If they form crust, then high intensity rainfall will also not be able to percolate. So you have minimal ground recharge and the water problem will persist. The Kara, they're also prone to weed erosion and very slow chemical weathering. So you find that once these soils are eroded, whether weed or otherwise, it is difficult to replenish the already degraded ecosystem because they take a lot of time. Weathering is the process that rocks and the other soils degrade to form additional and more soils and form more additional soil. So it takes a bit of time. So there is need to preserve these soils. They also constitute raw organic matter due to the absence of vegetation in the ecosystem. So there is minimal replenishing of the vegetation matter, and they form weak and stable structure. Planted, the plants there are normally stunted and very slow growth. So when we are thinking of this, is that we understand that there's a challenge of regenerating any degraded ecosystem. That's why it's important to preserve them and ensure and understand if you are going to regenerate, what kind of measures we should take. Another characteristic, we mentioned porosity. Porosity actually is a ratio of VV is a means of void volume, and this the big V is also a means of volume. So this is a ratio of the volume of voids, and the voids constitute water in a soil, water and air. That is what we call voids. And then the total volume. So porosity, when the sandy soil has got, because the volume of voids, the air and water, the ratio is expressed actually as a percentage. It affects soil water infiltration, water flow into the soil structure, and horizon. Horizon, when we mention horizon, we mean, can somebody understand that one, horizon? Some of these ones, it's good to understand what it means, because horizon is the arrangement of the soil structure. You can have maybe rhombs or sandy, the strata. the layers, yeah, the strata or the layers, the horizon. And also, water holding capacity is minimal. So any water falling there, it is lost through evaporation, or it percolates or runoff. Low water retention, porosity higher than clay soils, vulnerability to reaching a large pore spaces. The voids is these pore spaces is what we call voids. The air and the water phase, and this leads to more reaching. They also tend to form crusts. We saw in another slide, I explained what crusts are and the effects, and how it facilitates runoff of rainfall falling within the soils. Crust, if these crusts are broken, actually they formed the algae, the bacteria, the algae, and what else? Algae and also some bacteria. They form a glue-like material to cement the soil together. So if that crust is broken, then we'll have if the presence of crust will exacerbate runoff for higher intensity rainfall. If it's low intensity, then it will percolate and it's better. It will be retained within a reasonable period of time. They also have small aggregate stability. High porosity means they have minimal interparticle cohesion, and that's why they are prone to weed erosion. Any weed growing within the dry land ecosystem will blow away the soils. We have talked about runoff and the crust formation. Challenges in ASAL ecosystems. One, drought and climate change. Inadequate social services. Some of the people living in those areas, they are mobile and they rarely get social services. And that's why you see that they're also not available for any outreach programs most of the time. But NGOs are trying. NGOs are trying. Like currently I'm working for AMLEF. AMLEF, though not the NGO, I'm working for AMLEF International University. And AMLEF and USAID and Catholic Relief Services, they have a very huge presence in these ASAL areas. Most of because they have a project now currently run by how many NGOs? I think more than 10. Nawiri, even Save the Children, World Vision, and also Mercy Corps. They have a project they are running with these ASAL areas called Nawiri. And it has component of water, sanitation, nutrition, health, education, and some of these intervention is what they are looking at. Insecure, poor physical infrastructure. You cannot be able to travel with this, neither for their resources like goats and cattle. If there is the road networks are not good, they are not able to access the market. What happens? Their livelihood is affected. So you find that these guys, even if they have a lot of herds of cattle and goats, some of them are also engaging in charcoal burning, like in, we'll see in another side. In fact, I don't know. Most of I have worked in Samburu for like 5 years, from 2017 to 2020. And I was wondering, most of the vehicles, lorries, ferrying charcoals are from those areas. So you can imagine what little acacia plants are remaining there, what is happening to them. Because actually it's not a forested area, and this is what I witnessed. Insecure rad tenure. Okay, the tragedy of the common, you see, this is a major source of that problem. Because RAD is communally owned. So you can keep as many hands of cattle as possible or goats, because you can graze anywhere, anytime. Dispersed human settlements, we've mentioned about that. Huh? It's also a challenge. Yeah? Internal displacement, clustering. Like now we have an area called Ruruk. In fact, it's very close to Maralal town, and there are a lot of people there displaced from Suguta Valley, and also from lower part of Subukia, and also northern, near the border with the Baringo. So these are challenges within the ASAL ecosystems. So these people may not, even if you call for community engagement, you might not really get people interested in joining this. Although the effort being applied and directed towards this by the various NGOs there is bearing a bit of fruits. Okay, environmental issues and threat indicators. In this ecosystem, the indicators are deforestation, soil erosion, desertification. What is the difference between deforestation and desertification? Somebody? Try it out. Think. Let's engage. Online team assist us with the distinction between deforestation.
Maybe I can give a try.
Proceed.
Deforestation, that is the process whereby the forest cover is diminishing through maybe human activities, and desertification is the process whereby initial fertile land ends up becoming a desert, maybe from results of either natural drought occurrences or actually the deforestation process or inappropriate agricultural practices. I was saying deforestation is typically where the fertile land is now converted into a desert, probably from activities like deforestation or inappropriate agricultural practices.
they're supporting even the youths and teaching them on how to adopt. You see, because of the conflict and also these cattle rustling, they teach them on how to come up with the income generating activities. But all in all, what you should bear in mind is that if you, even planting of trees, running in nurseries, that is a form of income. So there are several opportunities. If you see now, if you want to make income, think of solutions. You can see the problems are many. Yes? So it is upon you. Now you are in this Department of Environment. Sit down and think, now, how do we address these problems? Somebody online, somebody talked about building dams, you don't have those resources. But even your human capital, the resource, whatever knowledge you get here, you utilize it in coming up with innovative ways. We have talked about coming up with resilient agricultural solutions. Think in that time, okay? Yeah, I always tell, even there's sometimes I was, one day, and we were interviewing some candidate for a job, a technician job. So one of the candidates, I asked him, now, what made you to study engineering? You see, he said, now, my aunt said that in engineering there's a lot of money. Because she was saying it's only engineering and procurement that those two careers, there's money. You see, and what I normally tell people, young people, and even older people is that be passionate, and from being passionate, you'll be able to see there are several problems. You see, the richest guys, they have been solving problems. Communication, micro jobs, Microsoft, all those guys, they know there's a need somewhere that need to be addressed. So, and the training that, actually, you see here, the training that this university offers is, in fact, you see, the motto is what happens here is transform the world. You can transform the world in various ways, coming up with innovative ways of solving problems. Even when you graduate, you'll be told now, you are being given the authority to go read further. Here is only introduction, and come up with solutions.
I won't argue with that, but there's also a saying that you can't.
Sorry, I didn't hear you are. Yes.
Out of what you have seen today, what are the gaps that exist? Because it can be a part and parcel of which can actually create an income for you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for English and simplified one.
Yeah. But see, now what you have here is a business plan. You know, when you are starting a business, you have to be passionate of what you do. If I tell you today, open a shop, you'll get money. You see, and that is what people make, the mistake they make. They say, now, there's a hotel there. That guy is making a lot of money. So I'll go and open a hotel like that. So you find that after 2 months, you are down. So you need to be passionate about what you do. And that is how you best do it. And you'll get money. Money will follow your passion. Yeah. Money will follow your passion. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Any other reaction? I think we have taken more time than desired.
Okay, it's not from the presentation, but it's from what you said when you answered my question. You spoke about interpreting why you wanted the job. So did I get the job or not?
Tell me, if you are the interviewer, what would you? If you today you tell me now, if I'm interviewing you for I ask you why did you choose to do environment?
Okay, okay, I'm doing IT, but I'm passionate about environment.
Oh, you are doing IT.
Yes, yes. I would, okay, if I was the hiring manager, would you asking me why I like environment?
Okay, let's stop it at this. The thing is, that particular candidate, he did not mean that he want to get employment out of engineering. He meant that in engineering, there's money. And that money, it's not money from formal employment. It's because there is money you can steal in engineering and procurement. See, he's not passionate about that. It's the aunt who told him, go engineering, just go and study engineering or procurement. We were thinking either I can study procurement or engineering because that is where there is money. So, obviously I would not hire that candidate because even if I am paying, I want to pay him. But you know, he's not coming to work and work diligently. He's coming because he'll get some sort of extra source of income. Thank you. I think we can. Oh, okay. Proceed.
Hello. Good evening.
Evening. Afternoon.
Sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Martin. I just wanted to add something on the challenges facing the ASALs that I've seen. One of the things that I've witnessed is the invasive species. We have the Opuntia species and the Prosopis, commonly known as Mabenge. And this is a very serious issue because I just hope something is done very quickly, because quickly we know very well that these ASAL areas are mostly the pastoral communities, and they're dependent on livestock. And these species are actually taking over. They are having an impact on the livelihoods. I read a document, that's a circular recently, that about a cabinet meeting, and I saw that the Prosopis issue featured. I just hope that action will follow suit so that these invasive species can be dealt with accordingly, because on the ground, litter is being done and encroaching. For example, I'm in Savo, and it's coming by the river. It's actually getting into the park, and which is a very challenging scenario that we are facing. Thank you so much. That's all I can say.
Very invasive species. In fact, I saw it even in Marigat and Baringo, I think, is the most affected county. And as you say, there's need for some action actually on that. Because, and that's why I was saying, when asked about the acidic soil, the importance of understanding. See, some of these things is that you might think that you are intervening in one area, and you are coming up with more problems if you don't think broadly and evaluate the impacts of our action. We might, because actually it was introduced and it now to provide vegetation, rapid regeneration of vegetation in those areas. But now it is becoming a menace. It's actually very invasive. You cannot find even a grass, not a grass, any grass or vegetation under the Prosopis gyriflora plant. And also, recently I saw the goats are also suffering the loss of teeth. It has effect, a negative effect. Thank you for that contribution. I think we can cross there, and thank you for listening, and also the input and the questions that we have received. I think this will go a long way in transforming what we do. This is just an overview of what should be done, and I think it has triggered the way we deal and handle our wetland as an ecosystem. We can explore further and maybe share more knowledge and intervention measures that can enhance or assist us in ensuring that we don't experience this kind of occurrences in the future. Thank you.
Wow, can we clap again for him? Thank you so much, Mr. Zakayo. It's not easy, by the way, to stand here for like almost 2 hours.